That's one of the first questions people ask me. Do you talk to your family like anymore? Like, so, because I think that there's a lot of like preconceived notions, and maybe rightfully so, of the connection that people have with their families once they leave the community.
Hi, I'm Hannah from Dayinmyjewishlife. I grew up as the youngest of 8, surrounded by larger-than-life personalities, and in all of the noise, I often held my own voice back. But being the youngest also gave me a gift, the ability to listen and to take it all in. That shaped me into the person that I have become. Eventually, I was given the privilege of opening up my own Instagram platform, a space that pushed me to share my voice. I cannot even begin to tell you the countless ways that changed me as a person. And that's why I created this podcast, Dayinmyjewishlife, Unplugged. Here, we amplify voices that don't always get a mic. You're going to hear stories that are real, unpolished, and full of beautiful meaning. And my hope is that by listening, you're going to discover something that speaks to your journey. So join me here, where voices are heard, stories are honored, and every conversation has the power to leave you changed. In this episode, I speak with not only one of the most genuine people that I know, but she's also my big sister, Malkie. When Malkie came home from camp after 8th grade, she had just turned 14, glowing and inspired in her Judaism, ready to start high school with her sister. But just a few nights before school began, my parents got a phone call that changed everything for her. The local high school told them that Malkie would not be allowed to attend that semester. They felt she needed to learn about compliance and authority before she'd be welcome. Despite camp directors, counselors personally calling the school, sharing how much growth they'd seen in her and how beautiful her summer had been, the school said no. And just like that, everything shifted for Malkie. The excitement and connection she had felt toward Judaism, the confidence she had finally found, turned into confusion and heartbreak. Malkie spent the first semester at home with tutors, feeling isolated and uncertain of her worth. When she finally did return to school, it wasn't the same. Walls felt higher, the air heavier. At 14, her delicate sense of self was shaken. She began to question who she was, what she had done wrong, and whether she even belonged. In this episode, Malkie shares her story, not with resentment, but with deep reflection. She speaks about the vulnerability of young teens and how easily their sense of self can be shaped or shattered by the words and decisions of the adults around them. Malkie opens up about her journey, eventually leaving the orthodox Chasidic path she grew up in, and what she's learned about how parents and educators can support a child exploring a different road. She speaks about seeing the full person and the full picture even when it's so hard to zoom out. Throughout, Malkie has maintained a beautiful, loving connection with her family despite living an entirely different life than the rest of us. Hello, Malkie.
Hi.
So Malkie, tell me about yourself. I want to start with childhood. What was childhood like for you in your place in the family, the type of family you grew up in? Tell me about your experience.
I would describe my childhood as very like warm, loving, but also maybe a little like chaotic because I have lots of siblings, older siblings, younger siblings with, as Hannah would like to describe, big personalities. I grew up in a very loving home. Yeah, I felt very safe in my home with my siblings and my parents, and it was just very cozy. I would describe my childhood very cozy, but cozy for me, maybe not for someone else, because there's definitely a lot going on.
100%. Our placement of the family is you are 2 siblings above me. So Malkie, then there goes Tsemi, and there goes me, Hannah. So I got to watch you growing up too. And I got to watch it from the outside. I didn't necessarily know what was going on the inside. And from what I remember, you you were raised like all of us, you kind of lived your life like that. And then there was a point where you started to question things and just choose to do things differently than the rest of the family. So when did that start? I guess, like, is there a specific moment or time period that stands out to you that you decided, like, or at least started exploring, like, maybe this is not, maybe the way that they're living is not for me. I want to explore something else. Do you remember a time when that began?
Yeah. I actually get that question often. I don't remember like an exact point where I was like, oh, I don't want to be religious anymore. Being kicked out of high school was like the first step of me leaving the religion. But then obviously having like exposure once I didn't have like a structured system, being exposed to the world. And at that time, like, that's when like dating apps came out, and like it was easier for me to figure out like on my own how to access like the secular world. And that's when kind of like my curiosity of like, oh, how do other people live their life, and what are like, people who are secular and even not like Jewish, like,
What do they
like
do?
It was my first time meeting people like that. And I would say that's when like the shift happened, when I was exposed to, or like when I had like freedom to explore, outside of Chabad.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I actually didn't know that. It sounds like to me that when you were in the system, you weren't necessarily rejecting it. You just were like passionate. You still are, very much so. You did not lose that.
I never was questioning the faith or anything like that, yeah.
Passionate, fiery. This is how I remember you, by the way. You were the one like turning to me and being like, Hannah, you have to remember, verbatim conversation, that you're still young now and you're like a soft clay. So if you're making decisions to look at certain things and watch certain things, like as you age, and if you're going to keep making the decisions, you're going to harden like that. You have the opportunity now to shift your clay how you want it. Make the right choices.
People would be like, were you talking to boys, or like doing drugs? Or I was like, no. Like, I wasn't even, like I was scared to kind of like do those things. I was just like kind of always a baddie.
It's just so sad to me that like that is what, I don't know, like that's what turned them off about you. Like you were written off as something that you were so not. I'm saying you weren't even doing anything that was.
I was definitely like not acting up, but I was.
How would it come out in school? Just curious.
I think that
your button was open. The rule is that the
no. I think when I was like maybe like in my early like 20s, that's kind of like how I would describe it. But now, like I see it, like I was probably really difficult to have in class. I felt like I knew how to like ruin the atmosphere. I would like convince the teacher to take us outside. I couldn't sit down. Like if it was a teacher that like I really enjoyed the subject and whatever, but I was the worst student to have in your class.
Okay.
Like there was reasons they wanted me out.
In a way it makes sense. In a way it makes sense that they were like, okay, you're really difficult to handle.
Yeah.
But I wonder, I wasn't there. I wasn't in school with you, but I wonder if for other people, I'm speaking about this in a productive way, because I'm sure that people who are running schools, who are teachers, who are parents are listening to this, and definitely every single person has a daughter or a son or multiple who are struggling in this way. They're difficult in the classroom. They're obnoxious. They have a lot of questions and are not asking them in a normal way.
Yeah, and
as in something's going on underneath. What would you tell a parent, a teacher, a principal? Like, what's the best way to navigate that? How do you wish your behavior, which categorized as obnoxious, was dealt with differently?
I think, first of all, you only have a window into somebody's like life and their struggles, the kid, the parent, So at the end of the day, I mean, this sounds like so like silly, but like kindness and like a firm boundary is literally, I'm not saying I know the answers, but like I think those are the two things that like are essential to like talking to like communicating with anybody like in the world.
What I noticed first, you said, is kindness.
Yeah.
Kindness and then boundaries.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you need to know that that teacher, that parent, that principal sees you as a person and likes you, has a connection to you, is kind to you.
Yeah.
Then you can receive a boundary, which boundaries are not fun, but at least you know that you are accepted and loved as a person, as a human being, and are seen.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't want like talk about like what I wish like people did, because like looking back, I think all the people that were involved like genuinely cared. Mm-hmm. Everyone just kind of needs to go like on their own journey and has like,
so mine was resentment.
Yeah, because I wasn't whatever my mind was going through, I couldn't like sit still in class and pay attention in the classes that I didn't like. And I mean, I'm not like gonna judge my younger self, but that was my I get why people wouldn't want me in the school system.
You were 14 years old, Malkie.
Yeah.
You were 13 years old and not accepted into high school for not even anything you did. I'm sorry. Like, you didn't do anything. It was just, she's too much at 13. Mm-hmm. And I think we all know that that wasn't true and how hurtful that messaging is. Even as a young girl, I remember you sitting at home being tutored. You didn't have a school to go to and you were so little, rejected at so young. They could have done, I don't even know who the they is, but things could have been dealt with differently, and that's not fair.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I would hope that a community who's like has like good intentions and like
it's crazy that you say like you don't hold resentment and like you're so like you're speaking about them so lovingly when like,
because I know that was the narrative that was fed to me. Like, I think of those people and I think that they like wanted the best for me too. Like, I appreciate that my family like has my back and is like kind of doesn't like see that as like an okay thing to do. But I don't think of those people in my life. They were good. Like, I don't have bad feelings about them, like, when I think of them. Do you know what I mean?
But what could they have done different? How do you wish the situation was dealt with? Looking back into your 13-year-old cute little brain, like, you were so little. Yeah. Like, what do you wish was said to you? How do you wish that situation was navigated? I'm only asking you not to change your past because we can't do that.
Right, because like, I don't necessarily regret the outcome.
But there's another 13-year-old girl who's sitting in school and they don't know how to handle her. Mm-hmm. What can they do for her? Different than what they were able to do for you.
I think that's the thing. Like, people do their best, but at the end of the day, you can't control everything. You know, like they can't control what I come home to. They can't control the experiences I had in my life. Like, what could they have done differently? I think a hard part for me was maybe like too much responsibility kind of put on somebody my age, because, you know, most schools are a lot bigger. And if I'm just one, and there's only 5 like other, you know, girls in my class. So I think it wasn't necessarily fair to put all that like weight on somebody so young of like how my behavior, you know, because someone else could be having struggles too, but maybe they're more inward, or like, you know, those were just,
that's so true.
It wasn't, they made it like my fault that people gravitated towards me. And not that I was like, that made me lose my confidence, but I think it made me feel like a little bit of a bad person, whereas someone who could be doing the same thing might not feel that same type of badness, because it was kind of put on me.
What I'm hearing is
what I'm hearing
you saying is that they put so much energy and attention and weight on your behavior at 13 years old and saw that and were like, all right, this is a really big deal.
Right.
And blah, blah, blah. These are our boundaries. You can't start school until da-da-da, when it really wasn't that serious or extreme. And because you had a loud voice, per se, you were singled out and like, oh, she's this big struggler, when like looking back, if we were to like map out your behaviors, map out your inner world, like it wasn't that serious. And you were made to believe that you were this huge, big problem that in reality, like really, in reality, you weren't. You needed some like loving guidance, direction, and boundaries for sure, but kindness, direction, and it wasn't that deep, and it was made to be really deep. If you had like a microphone into all educators' ears, all parents' ears in the Orthodox Jewish communities, what would you share with them?
I'm sure they're always trying to like work with like understanding, you know, that they own, no matter like how much they talk to a parent, how much they talk to a kid, that is a tiny, tiny window into somebody's life. And how the way that somebody acts is not, I mean, obviously you have like choice at the end of the day, but nobody wants to be a bad person. Nobody wants to like not be able to sit still in class, or you have to take somebody's like strengths and not necessarily like make them feel like, oh, you know, the pressure of their strengths. I think you have to, like, it sounds cliche, but everybody has their own strengths and their own weaknesses. And depending on where you're placed, they're going to shine or they're going to be dimmed. So some people in a school environment, it's not where their strengths shine. And a lot of those people, like they maybe need other things that, you know, systems don't offer. If it's creativity, you know what, Tanya and all those classes, they are creative. They do feel creative in that way, and I was able to sit still in a lot of those classes. But yeah, I think that's something that the questions that are already being asked, like what can we do for people who are not made? And I think that we know that you can be successful, and I think it's their job to
seek out where they can be successful. But you know what? Even if someone doesn't thrive in school, it's not necessarily within the educator's realm to be able to create a whole system that works for them, but to call them out personally and make them realize, and I'm saying this passionately because I'll tell you in a second, but make them realize that you have so many strengths, and I see sitting in class is so hard for you, and school is not your thing. And you are such a cool person. You're going to go so far in life. And the fact that you are jittery and driving this teacher crazy, like we'll talk about those behaviors, but you're not thriving in school. And we'll see what we can do about that. You have so many cool things about you. And I see in these classes you're thriving. And that's because X, Y, Z. Like it doesn't need to be that deep that somebody's not thriving in school. It doesn't need to be their identity, because we know at this point that some people just don't do well in school, and it's because of their personality and their makeup, and maybe there's a bigger picture of them struggling at home.
You need something to be excited about. That's the thing. Like, I don't think that there was something within the structure of like my school. Like maybe when we had like production, that was like a little bit like, oh my God, this is so fun. Like, but even then I think like the level of like, it wasn't, you know.
You and I have very, very similar personalities.
Yeah.
And the way that they navigated my personality versus yours is, I'm so thankful, and it's so heartbreaking, because as you were going through your thing, a teacher, my teacher in my elementary school, went to Mom and said that the Bassman girls are not thriving in this school, and they're not being received for their potential. Did you know about this conversation?
No,
just for whatever reason.
Well, I knew you went to a different school, but
For whatever reason, the Bassman girls are just not doing well in the school. Like, send Hannah to a different one because this teacher saw me. She has so much potential and she's going to thrive. Just she needs to be in an environment where she's seen. And that was the one thing that sent me thriving because I showed up to that school and they saw me. Was I feisty? Yes, ma'am, I was. Did I have a lot of opposition and questions? Yes, but it didn't scare them.
They didn't have a narrative already created about.
That's probably
you.
exactly what it was. They never had any of my siblings. They just saw me as me, and they were like, "Ooh, so much passion."
Yeah.
So yes, I was called out for some of my behaviors, and I was immediately told that's not okay. And my questions were answered, and they were celebrated. And I was instead seen as the one who would like light up the conversation and a leader and blah, blah, blah. And I felt amazing for that. I was also put in my place a lot, which also felt amazing, by the way, in a weird way.
Yeah.
But
we strive off of boundaries. And
my messaging to educators would be exactly as you said, to look at a person for their strengths. And some people may not be thriving in school, but it's not that deep. Like, don't make them feel terrible and like a bad person and, you know, conclusive thoughts about that. Not that anyone's trying to do that, but focus on their strengths. Even if they're not thriving in school, they're a whole person with a whole world.
But it's not even that academic pressure was put on me to like do well, like academically. I think it was very character based. It was very like I was called into the office because it's like
a lot more.
Yeah, like I don't. It's all that's what was like interesting about it. I would be called into the office of like, you know, the way you carry yourself and your energy is not like a very like modest energy or like it was very like based on.
What does that mean?
I don't know. Like I was definitely. What does that mean? I think like. I probably...
You were told that the way you carry yourself...
Yeah, like it's not like modest energy. Like, you know, you need to be more like refined and like... and stuff like that. Like, you know, put your hair back. And like, yeah, those were the rules. But then they would say like even, you know, when they would see me outside of school, I think they didn't like the way I was like expressing myself.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I was probably like a normal, like, I wasn't hanging out with guys or doing anything, but I was probably like a normal, like, you know, if I saw like yeshiva boys, I was, you know, standing up a little straighter. But like, I don't think that's like very appropriate to comment on that.
There's no reason ever to tell somebody that the energy they give off is immodest.
Yeah. I think for you, like, going away for high school, like, yeah, like that's one part of it, but I think it goes back to like that circle of who's involved in like your everyday life. And we obviously had so many like blessings growing up, but I think part of what was like important for like you to like do well there was also a new environment too, where you can just
create my own story.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like a fresh start in a way where you're like the youngest. You have so many siblings. You know, like mom and Ta were, you know, older, and just having, you know, like being able to feel your age, and like I don't know, just like having that. Because when I went away from home for the first time, I remember that feeling too of being able to be like there was just like this like freshness, or like new perspective to see yourself, you know, like you see yourself in a new light when you leave your home,
especially when it was a little bumpy and messy.
For sure, exactly. It's
big time.
It feels so like a weight is like lifted off, and you're like, whoa, for a second you're like, whoa, I'm so cute. I love me. I could be.
Did you have any fears about or guilt about choosing a new path?
No, because I think I'm very like when I do something, I like kind of like go all the way. I always have been that type of person. Like I wasn't, there was no like guilt or I don't know what it says about me, but people are always like, oh, do you feel so much like, I mean, maybe it expresses in different ways, but no, I felt very like sure about what I was doing. And I always said I was going to be one of those people who's either like extremely like religious, like married, like even when I would like want to like flirt with like yeshiva boys, it was never like the bad guy. It was always like the one who was like the most righteous. And,
But
like,
you know what's so
religious.
funny? Like you would tell them, I find this hysterical. You would be talking to boys, which in our circles, like we're not allowed to do that because you wait till dating for marriage. And you would be like, you should daven. Did you daven today? Like,
Why do I not remember
learn a
this?
sicha. Like, yes, I even remember who the boy was.
Oh my God,
But
that's so funny. Yeah, like it's definitely
so
a turn off
cute.
if you're not religious.
Yeah, you were so cute about it. Like, it just shows on your
God.
passion. Like when you're very authentic and real. So if you're in something, you're in it all the way. If you care about something, you care about it all the way. So it makes
right.
sense when you choose a different path. You're like, yep, that's what I want to do. I'm not turning back, and you haven't. I know that I know something you say is you wish that you believed in it. And that's something I wanted to ask you. Like,
Yeah.
I noticed this specifically when you're around family, and we'll get to the topic of family being religious and you not, but when you're around family and you see us living our life the way that we do, which is ultra religious and Shabbos and the holidays and day-to-day everything, I've heard you say probably 6-7 times, like, my life would be easier if I believed, if I didn't have to forge my own path. I wish I could just like throw in the ropes and be like, you know what? I'm an orthodox Chasidic Jew. Everything's cut out for me. Like, let's go. Why do you say that?
Well, one thing I do remember very clearly is when I like, it's not like I was like, it was a specific time where I made this choice that I'm not going to be religious anymore. But I remember like thinking like that it was the more it was going to like make my life, really hard, because you spend, from when you're the first day you're
fetus.
born, until I was like 19, 20 years old, very, sure of kind of what I wanted for myself, meaning, the meaning of life and why I'm here. It was so like, I'm not saying like
cut out for
like
you.
It was so safe, and because I know what it like feels like to believe, I think that's the hardest part. So like, there's nothing that I have found like yet that, because religion offers you all the things that I see that people in the secular world are looking for, which is community, purpose, and I mean those
Identity.
Community, purpose, identity, and to grow up being so like secure in all those things, and then to like say, wait, hang on, what is my identity? What is my purpose? And to have to like re-examine and re-question all those things is a very to do is with the experience of already like having it is very lonely and like empty in lots of places, like I'm not saying it's not possible to find, but it's definitely
way harder.
Yeah, it's so hard.
Like, I honestly cannot imagine even for a second what that must feel like, because of how hard it sounds.
Yeah,
It's not like you didn't connect with the religion and didn't experience it. Some people never felt a connection. They're like,
Right.
I don't care. Your vibe isn't I don't care. Your vibe is very passionate, and you're looking to find that same passion in your own way, in your own life?
Yeah. So
It's hard.
So I knew that like I was going to have to face the things in a way that I felt staying in the religion would make me kind of like push aside. So like I just in my head had this narrative, and this is still like a struggle to this day, that like that I'm like, you know, like it's like that, like I'm a failure, you know? And I think that based on like everything we talked about, that kind of probably makes sense that that's my narrative. And I felt like if I would become like not religious, I wasn't going to be able to hide in that narrative. And it was going to definitely like, because I'm going to have to, like, it's not like I could, to me, this might sound offensive. It's not offensive, okay. But like, to me, like, if I was to just like become a mom and like, not just become a mom, but if I was to become a mom and like have kids, I think like it would be within that marriage that I would have to deal with a lot of things that I felt were like something I needed to overcome.
So you in particular, and us in particular, our family and Malkie are very close. We have a really tight-knit family, which is something we've worked on a lot to keep it that way. And I think it goes way back to our parents, who instilled a very strong family value, a responsibility that we as siblings have for each other to maintain closeness and to be there for each other, which is so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And that doesn't mean that we get along all the time. No. It just means that no matter what, we're there for each other.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, despite that, have you ever felt like largely misunderstood by family who lives so differently from you? And not to say that you don't feel loved. Like, I know you feel loved, but I'm asking about feeling misunderstood by family.
I would say that when I'm around our family, it ebb and flows for me. Like, you know, depending on, because I know my family, like, loves me unconditionally. And, like, that's one of the first questions people ask me, like, do you talk to your family, like, anymore? Like, so, because I think that there's a lot of, like, preconceived notions, and maybe rightfully so, of the connection that people have with, like, their families once they leave the community.
And how do you get there? Like, how do you maintain a close relationship with family who's so different from you, and we differ in many opinions strongly?
I mean, I credit that to everybody, you know, I'm not going to say I always am good at doing that, but it's the fact that, like, when I'm down, my family is going to, no matter what, like, keep. So it's like, I don't think of it as necessarily a me thing. I think of it as, like, my family just being, like, I have a big family, and we check, like, you know, they check on me. And
this sounds similar to what you were saying before, what you would say to educators, that kindness, like seeing a person.
I know. I
them
always
caring about you as a human being. Like, forget all labels and life choices and opinions. Like, we're your family, and we care about you as a human being. You're our family, and you care about me as a human being, and I feel that strongly. Like, it's both ways.
And I feel like I can be myself, you know, like, for the most part. Like, it's not like I express myself any differently, or like I'm still, you know, I don't feel like, I mean, sometimes maybe a little bit I have to contain myself, but like in general.
But like basic respect, basically, to the environment.
And I think, you know, the more I mature, the more I realize I don't need to say every single thing I'm thinking out loud. Or,
you know,
like,
I've noticed that.
I keep.
She used to come around being like, you used to come around like.
I don't know how you guys took me back.
No, I think this is important to talk about because it's something that you learned along the way and something we learned to navigate along the way. But and it all makes sense. But you would be very triggered at certain things. Like you grew up certain ways that later in life you did not appreciate at all. So when you would see your sisters and your brothers educating their children in that same way, like you with your passionate, fiery personality would speak up. Like, this is crazy. Like in front of the kids. Not to call you out, but it was in front of the kids.
No shame in my game.
No shame in your game. And listen, objectively, I think we could both say like that wasn't right. Like same way we weren't, dissecting your life choices that we probably disagreed with.
Yeah.
The respect has to go both ways, and you were just learning. How did you learn that?
I think just maybe understanding people more. Like I know that no matter like what I say or like how passionate I get, that everybody kind of has their narrative based on the way that like they're experiencing life, and it makes sense, I guess, that we have like different opinions, and I'm
it's
not
fine.
Well, it's not my my job to kind of I don't want that responsibility, and it's not my job, and I wouldn't want someone to kind of tell me, well, maybe I would want someone to tell me what to do. No, I'm just kidding. No, but you learned
that. You learned what works and what doesn't work through trial and error.
Yeah, the way that you guys are raising your kids is based on your, set of values and how your life experience.
And also, like, I feel sometimes, like, just because we both could relate to this, we're very perceptive people. Like, I could feel sometimes that you're like, like you witness certain things I say or the ways that I'm doing things with my kids, and you're like, bleh, but like, that's okay.
Yeah.
You're not disrespectful about it. I could just feel that you disagree, yet I'm totally cool with having you around with those opinions. Like, it doesn't matter to me. And again, like going back to that core value of like, we're both human beings. You're my sister. I'm obsessed with you. And you can have the most different opinions than me. Cool. As long as we're both like living our lives, because that's the way we want to live our lives.
Yeah, exactly. No one wants to feel suffocated or like we could judge each other a little bit.
What would you want to tell families who have a sibling or two or three who are choosing a different path? And the beginning can be very scary for family to witness because they're like, what's going to happen? Like, this is so different from everything we know. What would you tell them to kind of bring them peace of mind in their siblings or child's transition?
That's a really good question.
It's scary to watch. Like,
I think you can't necessarily, or you can't control the way that somebody is like choosing to live their life. I think it all comes down to wanting the best for the other person and wanting them to have like a healthy life and a fulfilled life, and you can't control someone's belief system. As like you can continue living your life and inspiring other people by how you choose. But I think the thing that someone needs to, that at least I think I wish I had more support, and that's not a blame game, but if you are going to live a life in a different way, like, obviously just making sure that you try to set up all those things in your life, because no matter if you want to break away from your community, it's going to be kind of your job and to find that in your life, and so supporting them in ways that they could enrich their own life. So if it's like a therapist who helps people who are like, there's like Footsteps and all like these programs that are geared to helping people. Like, it's going to be, on like the one hand, it's going to be really hard because, they're choosing something that's hard. Exactly. And you need to fill all those, you're obviously leaving because you feel unfulfilled in certain ways, but you're going to have to fill your cup in some ways. And how can I support you to fill your cup? And hold you accountable, like,
Wow.
because it's, yeah, you
So
need a
they're-
plan,
They're
you need a
leaving
life-
the path, but don't allow them to leave you. You
Yeah,
don't
exactly.
leave
You
them
could still
as they leave
support
the path.
them. Exactly.
And that's what's going to matter most to them. Like, that's why you're still here. That's why
Yeah.
we're so close, because
And I think what's hard a lot of the times is that a lot of times parents don't necessarily know how to support, because the way that they envisioned raising their I think that was like the problem for me, because the way they envisioned raising their children was in a very specific way, and they don't necessarily have the tools to prepare you for the world outside of
Wow.
it. So I think that's when you kind of have to turn to systems that have good
parents.
intention. Yeah.
the parents should turn to systems.
Yeah, because understand, you have to know, how you can help and how you just what you don't know, and like to guide your children towards
This is so
supportive ways to help them.
Wow.
And help in ways, or educate yourself in ways you can help them. But
And would you say the same, like, to a child that's, let's say, I don't know, 10, 11, 13, that's starting to explore elsewhere. And as the parent, you're like, okay, but this is the life that brings me such fulfillment. Like, I want to enrich your life with these values. Like, what's the
Yeah.
balance between, like, maintaining boundaries within religious choices because they're still so young, and also not, you don't want your child to leave you as parents. Like, I misunderstood, goodbye. Like, I feel like there's such a fine line where you need boundaries sometimes,
Yeah.
because even within religious practice, it's hard. Like, there are things that are hard that I don't want to do.
Right.
But then there's like a bigger scale of like a person needing to explore outside.
I think when a kid is younger, the way that I think one of the ways that I think a kid could be inspired, and like the way that you could make a difference in their life when they're feeling that confusion, is maybe not take a step back from like the religion as a whole, and focus on how can I build this kid's like confidence and in their identity outside
Wow.
of the religion.
Wow.
Like, are they like, what are they missing in their life? Do they need to sign up for an art class? Like, what is it that will bring them? Because someone is probably questioning these things because they're not feeling
Fulfilled.
or know who they are, or maybe they're not feeling comfortable, something's bothering them at home or whatever. So you need it's like you have to like build it inward in them. Like, they have to know something. You can know. I always like joke when I ask kids, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Because I genuinely think that is such a huge part of like building confidence, feeling like you're good at something, feeling like you have something to contribute. And maybe you've been focusing too much on like the religion piece of like but like make it like more practical, like
Even within religion, like, it needs to be
Yeah.
about your body, mind, and soul. It's an all-inclusive. It's not like you're, veering out elsewhere by exploring their passions and talents. Like, it's all-inclusive. If your body's not whole, you can't show up in your relationship with God.
Yeah, it's a parent's job, in my opinion, to give the tools to a child to figure that out. And,
You are
and that's
very
what
wise.
yeah.
I think that people in your life were very anxious about you, and that anxiety and fear and unknown got in the way of helping you explore yourself and build yourself. It was just like, how do we problem solve getting Malkie back on track and
Yeah.
da-da-da.
Like, instead of, getting me in trouble for using my markers in class for making line after line in my princess
I
coloring
remember
book,
those.
maybe those repetitive lines are saying I need to do something with a pencil or a pen.
And you were so artistic.
But I didn't know until like 5-6 years
Wow.
ago that I
Wow.
like to draw, or like like these other facets of the
Assets. We both can't speak English. Those other outlets.
Exactly, the different parts of me.
Wow. Malkie, you are very wise, and I so respect and appreciate you being willing to share your story, because I know that was like hard and emotional for you, and those years were filled with a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and you struggled tremendously. So for you to come on here knowing that a lot of people are going to be listening and sharing for the purpose of, first of all, us two connecting and being able to talk about this, and also using your power to help other people in your situation, which I know that it will, which is why I like literally dragged you out here.
Yeah, and I was just telling Kana in the car here that like I respect you so. I like it's incredible what you do. It takes a lot of like bravery, and I wish I had a little bit more of that inside of me to do things, just like push, like
You do have it inside of you.
It's very inspiring to see. Yeah.
Love you.
Love you.
And that was beautiful. Thanks for coming on here, and you're welcome again and again and again. I want to do this again tomorrow.
Oh my golly, love you.